And there will be more developments on the Kochhar story, where there was a major relief for them today after the Bombay High Court granted bail to Chanda Kochhar and Deepak Kochhar. But remember, they haven't been able to leave jail yet because the bail papers did not reach in time. So they will actually exit and be released from jail only tomorrow. We're also learning that Venugopal Dhoot, who has also been under arrest in the same case, will move for bail hearing in the Bombay High Court tomorrow. There is a possibility that investigative agencies may move the top court against the bail which was given today. We'll be talking more on the story of Chanda Kochhar and Deepak Kochhar, because these are indeed interesting developments that have taken place today on this story that we've been tracking closely. A little earlier in the day, I spoke to top experts on the implications for the case. I'm joined now by Tamal Bandyopadhyay, author and senior journalist. Hemendra Hazare, independent business analyst, joins me on the show. And I'm also speaking today with Sanjay Asher, senior partner, Crawford and Bailey & Co. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for joining us once again as we follow up on this important story. Mr. Asher, since the twist in the tale today and the latest development is legal, let me begin with your perspective. An important observation by the Bombay High Court on the general conditions for bail and for arrest. What struck me is the court saying that non-cooperation, non-confession doesn't mean non-cooperation. As in, an investigative agency cannot expect those that they're interrogating to implicate themselves. And if they don't, they deserve to be behind bars. How significant is that in the case of the Kochhars?
Extremely important observation, and it's extremely important for the Kochhars, for the Honorable High Court to make such observations. That is number one. And number two, the Honorable High Court has reiterated the principles which are laid down that look, not because somebody is not confessing would make that they are not cooperating. So it's an important observation. It's an important observation as far as...
Okay, I think I'm losing that line with Mr. Asher. We'll try and reconnect him.
Hello, can you hear me?
Now I can, Mr. Asher. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
May I request you to start that answer from the top, since we're recording this and you got cut in the middle. Can you start that from the top? Why these observations are important?
It's a very important observation because ultimately this is an order. There would be a judgment which will follow. Two, it's an important observation, and the Honorable Court has reiterated the principles of the criminal law. And as far as the Kochhars are concerned, it's an important observation for them as well.
Tamal, let me come to you on this story, which, of course, you've looked at all of the twists and turns very, very carefully. This reprieve important for the Kochhars personally, because their son is getting married, and it's only for 2 weeks. There's nothing in this about whether they're guilty or not guilty. This is only about whether they should have been arrested or not, isn't it?
Yeah, Tamanna, I don't have the legal expertise, but right from the beginning, I said there's an element of shock and surprise. Only the 2 points I would like to make. One is this, the shock from the Kochhar's family angle and surprise from all of us, for all of us who have been the onlookers. Like, why now? What happened? Because the CBI has been into it since 2018. CBI filed the FIR in early 2019. Now, what suddenly happened in December 2022, almost after 3 years, the agency needed to arrest them. So what are the new findings? Have there been new findings? What is there? So that's the key question that is haunting us, all of us. And for the record, I'm never saying that, I'm never passing any judgment that they are not guilty, not at all. But why now? Why it could have been done much earlier? Why should it take 3 years? And second part is this, the record in the history of our investigative agencies, this kind of actions in the past, in the recent past, so many bankers, both primarily in the public sector, from the public sector, they were arrested, they were sent to jail, they were kept in custody. But how many of them have actually been implicated? In how many cases our investigative agencies have been able to establish the banker's culpability? You check the record, in percentage term, it will be single digit, probably low single digit. I am talking about only these so-called scams in the banking sector. So put this together. So that's it. I mean, I don't know. I can't pass on any value judgment whether the bail will be permanent or whatever.
What is also surprising is that the bail is for 2 weeks and the next hearing is on 6th of Feb. Hemendra Hazare, how do you see all the developments today?
No, very clearly it shows the Central Bureau of Investigation in very poor light. That, very shoddy adherence to legal procedures, that the Honorable High Court had to pass such scathing comments. And this is a great pity because it really demeans the credibility of India's premier criminal investigation body. And here, in the court of public opinion, and as a banking analyst, once you have the digital and the money trail, which shows ICICI Bank giving funds to the Doots, the Videocon group, and there you see a money trail thereafter of it from a Videocon group company going into Deepak Kochhar's company. To me, of course, it raises a great deal of suspicions. And, in such a case, if the premier criminal investigative body cannot put together a proper case, which is so immediately practically thrown out by the Honorable High Court, it shows, I'm very disappointed at the competence of the Central Bureau of Investigation. And, it has such a poor track record, both this and the Enforcement Directorate of Convictions. So what is there for, for the capital markets that anyone, if they are guilty, you don't find it being convicted because the investigative agencies are so poor in their work, or even if they are innocent, they are arrested on such flimsy grounds. It's a very sad day, I think, for the capital markets when you see such things happening, and for the public at large.
Important point there, that if they are innocent, they shouldn't be dragged through such procedural hell. If they are guilty, they should be brought to book earlier. Where was the CBI for 3 to 4 years? Why have they suddenly come in? What are the grounds of non-cooperation? In fact, Mr. Sanjay Asher, the court went as far as to observe basic procedural lapses, like you needed a woman police officer's signature if you were going to arrest a woman. In this case, Chanda Kochhar. Even that was not done. What are the grounds of saying they are not cooperating? Did they, not come for summons when you called them? Where were you all of this time? How do you look at all of that, as well as the 2 weeks of bail?
Well, I mean, the enforcement agency and the police officers ought to have followed the procedures and the technicalities at the time of arrest or before arrest, when they went to Kochhar's house to arrest her, etc. So I don't know why they did not follow those procedural and the technicalities, and it is surely a lapse in the hands of the hands of the police officers. But
Sure.
If you note,
right,
the court has noted that we may note that we have not gone into neither the submissions advanced by Mr. Desai, the learned counsel, appearing in particular the submission that a lady officer was not present at the time of the petitioner's arrest, in view of the findings recorded in the order.
Right. What about the 2-week bail, Mr. Asher? What do you make of that?
So,
2 weeks bail means they can technically be arrested after 2 weeks again. And the next hearing is in Feb.
To my mind, it's not a 2-week bail. It is the cash bail of 100,000 rupees each for both the Kochhars, and thereafter within 2 weeks they have to furnish the PR bond of an equal amount. So that 2 weeks, as I read it, if you read the order small Roman 1 and small Roman 2, those have to be read together. And essentially it is that 100,000 rupees PR bond has to be completed in 2 weeks' time.
Okay. Okay. Tamal, big picture over here. This was a scandal, continues to be a scandal where, you know, the poster girl, the poster woman of corporate India fall from grace, etc., etc. Does this bail change anything perceptionally for the Kochhars? And the fact that all of this has been gone on for so long, it was business as usual till the CBI woke up again, isn't it?
Hey, Tamanna, there are two sides of it, whether Kochhars are innocent or they are guilty. That's one part. And second part is the efficiency of our investigative agencies, in particular, this case, CBI. So on the first part, I am not qualified to pass the judgment. I don't know who can. But in the second part, we are fairly sure that such thing is going to happen because inefficiency has been established. Former Finance Minister, Mr. Jaitley, also have spoken about it, their adventurism. So CBI has done it. In fact, just to give an example, one senior banker of IDBI, after retirement, he was picked up from his house to the CBI office in Mumbai, just for some questioning. And then in that office, when he was asked that, while leaving the house, in fact, he was asked that, would you like to carry your medicines, daily medicines? Even then, he did not get the hint. But after the office interrogation, he was said that you are under arrest and he was thrown into jail. He had to spend about 3 weeks and then he came out. What happened to that? Has CBI been able to establish the culpability? No. So the Kochhars getting the bail, I don't know whether it's if they are does it pronounce that they are not guilty. I'm not saying that. I don't know
not
that.
at all.
But definitely,
bail order is very clear.
it shows the inefficiency of our investigative agencies.
Right.
Once again, it establishes.
So it's very clear that there is no pronouncement of their guilt or their innocence. Either way, the question is the time our judicial system is taking. Hemendra Azari, I want to come back to the point you made. If they're innocent, then a grave injustice has been done to them by, you know, dragging their name through all of this for years and years. If they are guilty, then a grave injustice is done to the people of this country where they've gone scot-free for so long. Either way, it's making no sense. What should be holding the CBI back when, like you said, in a case like this, these are all digital transactions?
No, very correct. You know, it shows the CBI as professionally incompetent and they are India's premier criminal agency. To me, from the evidence that we know of, which is in the public domain, you know, the board of ICICI Bank clearly passed its own verdict. First, they defended her. Then when the media started highlighting and you started getting new and new disclosures every day, they appointed the Shri Krishna Committee report. And apparently the Shri Krishna Committee report indicted her. And therefore, you know, the board then sacked her. So the board of ICICI very clearly after that did not want anything to do with her. So therefore, to me, the evidence as an analyst, I'm quite clear that with such allegations, a person is not fit to be anywhere near in the higher echelons of a financial institution and definitely not a bank. And to me, the CBI should have acted extremely early. I think they filed this FIR, if I'm not mistaken, early 2019, that, you know, it just takes them through, you know, 3-4 years to arrest, and that too on such flimsy grounds. It appears that they solely arrested her just to disrupt the wedding. And therefore, you know, probably for the publicity, if they were not arrested, people have said, you know, they're having this fancy wedding and the state is not doing anything. And therefore, they did not even adhere to some very basic procedures in arresting her. This, you know, really, the public loses confidence in the professional competence of your premier criminal investigating bodies. And these are your premier, the country's premier investigating body. If this is the way they conduct themselves, you know, one can imagine how they must be going about their business in other cases.
Raised by today's developments, but the last chapter has not been written yet on the whole Kochhars affair. In the middle of all of this, what's happening to Venugopal Dhoot is also a question that needs to be asked on, is it on similar grounds or not? Thank you so much to all of you for joining us today.